Welcome to Anwar. Today we're talking about a really quite potent call for change in Malaysian governance. Dato Puad, who's a prominent figure, member of the UMNO Supreme Council, he recently said quite directly, Prime Minister Dato Seri Anwar Ibrahim must immediately reshuffle his cabinet.
Yeah, that's not subtle at all. It's very public.
Exactly. It's not just a political whisper. This is a direct demand.
Yeah.
And he's laid out some, well, compelling reasons. It really cuts to the heart of current political stability, public trust, all of that.
Definitely.
So I guess the first question for you, listening in, is what do you think really drives these calls for cabinet changes? Is it mostly about how ministers are performing, or is there like deeper political stuff going on?
Well, when someone like Puad, from the United Malays National Organization's top council, says something like this so forcefully, it's usually more than just general unhappiness. Yep. It feels like a calculated move, probably to put pressure on the administration, highlighting things he sees as weaknesses he thinks are hurting governance, and maybe eroding public confidence.
And he's specific, right? Not just vague complaints.
Very specific. He touches on, well, two main areas: practical gaps like empty seats, and then the more public perception of how effective some ministers are.
Okay, let's unpack that first one then. The vacancies. Puad's saying this is urgent, these need filling now. Which specific roles are empty, and why is that such a big deal right now?
So his first big argument is about these key portfolios left empty after resignations. He named names. Dato Seri Rafizi Ramli, who is the economic minister.
A huge role.
A huge role, exactly. And Nick Nazmi, this Ahmad, who handled natural resources and environmental sustainability. Now think about what these ministries actually do.
Yeah.
The economy ministry, well, that's central to national policy, getting investment, dealing with cost of living, stuff that hits every single household,
Yeah.
especially with the global economy being what it is.
So an empty seat there means delays or lack of direction.
Potentially, yes. Slower decisions, maybe crucial plans don't get pushed through, maybe just a lack of clear leadership on the economy. It's significant.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not just symbolic.
Not at all. And then there's the other one, natural resources and environmental sustainability. Puad used a really concrete example for this one.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
He mentioned the National Water Resources and Irrigation Department. It falls under this ministry. And he pointed out, look, we're seeing more and more clogged rivers, drains, ditches everywhere.
Right, you do see that. Flooding issues, too.
Exactly. It leads directly to flash floods. It affects public health. Stagnant water isn't good, and it can even hit agriculture. If there's no minister steering the ship, maybe vital decisions get delayed, budgets for upkeep, long-term planning for, environmental protection, flood mitigation.
Stuff that really impacts people's daily lives, their homes, getting around.
Precisely. Their livelihoods. It really grounds the issue, doesn't it? Takes it from high-level politics to, well, is your drain blocked? It makes you think, how often do these administrative gaps directly hit public services in ways we might not immediately connect back?
Yeah, it's fascinating how he links a cabinet vacancy to something as basic as clogged waterways. Yeah. It really makes the whole idea of a minister's job feel very real, very practical, not just a title.
These aren't just ceremonial posts. They have direct responsibilities. They affect people's immediate well-being.
So the implication is, without someone clearly in charge in these areas, services suffer.
That's the argument, yes. Services suffer, and then maybe public trust starts to fray. So the reshuffle isn't just politics. It's presented as an administrative necessity for the country's good.
Okay, so that's the first point, the vacancies.
Yeah.
But then Puad shifts gears, right? To something, well, maybe more controversial.
Yes, the second point is definitely more politically charged.
He says some current ministers are, and this is his word, unsuitable. And this involves public perception, social media buzz, maybe even internal party stuff.
That's right. This part moves from empty chairs to how people feel about the ministers who are currently sitting in those chairs. He specifically named Education Minister Fadhlina
Okay.
and Communications Minister Fahmi. He says they've become targets of the public, especially netizens.
Right, netizens, a powerful force online. What are the specific criticisms, though?
Well, for Fadhlina, it often revolves around education reforms, the pace of change, maybe curriculum issues, textbooks. Education is always a hot topic, and people can get impatient.
Understandable. And Fahmi Fadzil.
As communications minister, he's often in the line of fire over things like content moderation online, sometimes perceptions of restrictions, how online discussions are handled. It's a portfolio that naturally attracts a lot of criticism, especially around free speech.
So it's partly about public unhappiness with their specific areas, but you mentioned internal criticism too. That sounds messy.
This is where it gets really intriguing. Puad specifically brought up Dato the former economy minister we just mentioned, apparently strongly criticizing Fadhlina, his own party colleague.
Wow. From within the same coalition.
Yes. And maybe even more significantly, there were these reports going around alleging that details from actual cabinet meetings might have been exposed, leaked.
Leaked cabinet details. That's serious.
Very serious. In Malaysian politics, especially with a unity government trying to hold different factions together, that kind of leak is seen as a major breach of trust. It undermines the whole idea of collective responsibility. It hints at deep cracks, maybe, right inside the government.
That's quite something, isn't it? A senior figure criticizing a colleague publicly, plus whispers of leaks from cabinet meetings. It definitely adds weight to the call for a reshuffle. It's not just about what the public thinks anymore.
Exactly.
So this raises a big question, really. What does all this signal? This internal sniping, the public targeting? What does it suggest about the government's stability or how it's perceived? It feels like more than just minor grumbling.
Oh, it signals quite a bit. First, when ministers are constantly getting hammered by the public, especially online, it does erode trust. But more than that, it can actually, fuel opposition arguments. It creates this narrative of incompetence or being out of touch, which damages the government's image overall.
Right. Makes them look weak, maybe?
Potentially.
Yeah.
But second, and this might be even more crucial, the internal criticism and these alleged leaks that suggest problems within the government itself. A lack of unity, maybe. Poor cohesion.
Which is especially tricky for a unity government.
Extremely tricky. That kind of friction can really destabilize the whole setup. It makes it hard to project a strong, unified front when there are signs of conflict inside. And Puad's final jab on this point, questioning if Anwar really has no suitable replacements, that's a direct challenge.
Yeah, it questions the PM's judgment almost.
It questions his leadership choices, his ability to find the right people. It implies these problems are serious enough that changes must be made and capable people are available.
So putting it all together, what does this mean for the bigger picture? For how Malaysia is being governed right now? How do these points, the empty posts, the public unhappiness, the internal friction affect Anwar's administration overall?
Well, if you look at the broader political context, a cabinet reshuffle is almost always a strategic tool for a prime minister, right? Use it to tackle public worries, maybe make things run more efficiently, shore up political support, or sometimes, yes, to move underperformers out. Puad's arguments hit all those notes.
How so?
Well, demanding the vacant posts be filled, that's clearly about efficiency, making sure the government machine is working, especially with economic and environmental challenges being so prominent.
Okay, the practical side.
Right. Then the critique of the unsuitable ministers, the public backlash, the internal stuff that speaks directly to public trust perception, and the delicate political balancing act within the unity government itself.
It's a coalition, after all. Lots of different parties involved.
Exactly. So for Prime Minister Anwar, this call puts him in a tricky spot. Does he act and risk upsetting some partners or factions by making changes? Or does he not act and risk looking indecisive or like he's ignoring these problems?
Sounds like a real tightrope walk.
It is, especially for a unity government like Malaysia's, which was formed because the election didn't give anyone a clear majority. It depends on keeping that fragile balance between parties like UMNO and others. Any big shakeup could potentially rock the boat.
So it's this constant tension between needing things to run smoothly, administratively, and keeping the political alliance stable.
Precisely. And Puad's message, coming from within UMNO, a key partner, isn't just advice. It's a very clear public demand for Anwar to take action.
Right.
Now,
the underlying message being
that not acting could have serious consequences. For the government's stability, how the public sees it, and ultimately its power to actually govern effectively. This kind of pressure from inside the coalition is a really significant sign of the challenges they're facing.
Okay, so just to wrap up the core points here, we've got Dato Puad Zarkashi, a senior UMNO figure, making a strong public case for an immediate cabinet reshuffle. His two main arguments are, first, critical ministries like economy and environment have vacancies that need filling urgently because it impacts everyday life. Think blocked drains, economic direction.
Right, the practical necessity.
And second, some current ministers, specifically named as Fadhlina and Fahmi, are seen as unsuitable, facing heavy criticism from the public online and maybe even from within the government itself, possibly including leaks.
Yes, the performance and perception issue, complicated by internal politics, it paints a picture of pressure from multiple angles.
It definitely does. A really compelling snapshot of the pressures on the current Malaysian government.
And as we think about all this, it leaves us with a final thought, maybe. What weighs more heavily in forcing change in a situation like this? Is it the immediate, practical problems caused by empty seats in ministries? Or is it the perhaps more abstract but very powerful impact of public opinion and those internal political tensions on the government's overall stability?
That's a fascinating question. Which pressure point is stronger? Something to definitely keep an eye on as things develop.
Indeed. Both are clearly playing a role here.
We'll certainly continue to follow this. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.